All right, so what do you look for in a client before you agree to take them on?
Yeah, so I used to be really strict with this. I've kind of come around a little bit. Ideal scenario is like that I would work with them for a significant period of time before they consider a prep. I know that people come in and just like hire a coach for prep too, so I'm not, against that. It's just like if someone's like, hey, if someone comes to me and goes, I want to win, then I'm like, I need 6 to 12 months before you start prep to put you in a position to do that, unless you're exceptional. So yeah, like that's in terms of circumstance, like what I would like to see. Experience dieting before, an idea that you've got your lifestyle in check to, complement physique sport, consistent training, good level of technical skill, a good reason to compete as well. Mm-hmm. I know some people like kind of just try and push it under the rug. Like they tell you that it's like, a challenge and they've always wanted it, when you can kind of tell they just want to change their physique.
Yeah.
But
is that the wrong reason?
Well, I don't think people should go into a bodybuilding show to...
It's a pretty fucking extreme sport.
Take care of the way they look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they should go into bodybuilding to take on the challenge of, bring in their best physique.
Yeah.
And encompassing everything that the sport is. So,
which is the really what you're choosing is the self.
You're choosing the pursuit.
Yeah.
You're choosing the pursuit because you can get in shape doing.
What do they call it? Self-imposed suffering.
Yeah.
And you're making that self-imposed suffering bodybuilding. And if that's your choice, cool. But I feel like if it's just like my end goal is to look better,
correct.
That's the wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't use it as a vehicle. It's not even to like the fat person using the marathon to get in shape. It's like so many other ways to like get in shape. It's just like that's not a good example.
Yeah.
Of like that's not a good reason to get into the marathon.
Good vehicle, yeah.
Bodybuilding's the same. It's like you need to be like it's in competitive. You can get into bodybuilding. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like no problems at all. So
shoot,
yeah, that's it. It's just like those things. And then like I am big on like just understanding what the sports look like. So, because people don't understand, it's like you've got to join a federation, you've got to pick a show, join a federation, you've got to pay to join a new membership, you've got to pay for the show day, you've got to pay for the categories. If you're a girl, you've got to get your hair, you've got to get your makeup, you've got to get a suit. Your suit's expensive, you've got to buy your shoes, you've got to get posing coaching, like it's food, it's your coaching. Like I'm like, these are all of the things that you need to think about and commit to before we even work on your plan.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, I think... Look, for me, I think this is where a big gap is. There's less. I just need to like you more often than not. So it's competency and relationship.
Yeah.
It's like if I think we're going to butt heads and stuff, like it's probably not.
Yeah.
The coaching relationship probably wouldn't get to the point where we're going to compete anyway, but I'm thankfully, most of the people that I work with are like that rule of I want to have a coffee with my client kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Kind of sit in that 99% of the time. So that makes that a little bit easier. And then it's just competency. And competency, before I would agree for someone to compete, is like, can you execute the lift to the rules of the competition and fail in position?
Yep.
So if you can do that, I'm happy to go to a 1RM.
Yeah.
I don't care how strong you are. There's no standards.
No, of course not.
It's just like if you can fully depth squat, and come out of the hole and miss, and you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Absolutely.
Like we can go from there. So, setting expectations, I think, is a big one in both.
Yeah.
And I've always like reflected on this because, as I said, I really like working with that beginner intermediate. I think because I'm individual focused, not sport focused. Like we said, like I'm not going to go to a powerlifting meet for fun.
Yeah.
Like a Pro Raw, because I was super invested with Will and a couple others, the lifters and stuff. Like that was fun.
Yeah.
It's the best of the best.
Yeah.
But like going to a local meet for me is like I'm not invested in the sport like that. And I've always felt as invested in powerlifting as I was never part of powerlifting.
Yeah, I'm the same. I feel the same about bodybuilding.
Always like kind of just out here.
I just watch it from afar, not in it.
Yeah, because the relationship part was, I was there for a person.
Yeah.
Not for the sport.
Yeah, I get that.
Which kind of, kept me a little bit...
At arm's reach.
Yeah, so because of I think my mindset when it comes to setting expectations and that combined is kind of why I don't have a full book of powerlifters because I don't want to. But the idea of taking on and working into this book of elite lifters was never really a goal of mine.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, and I don't know if this has hindered me or not, when I set expectations for a client, so like you said, like someone comes to you and they want to win, I actually am kind of like, I don't like that.
Really?
Because I'm like, my plan doesn't change based on where you think you're going to finish.
Yeah.
And you wanting to go to nationals versus you not wanting to go to nationals, you wanting to win your local meet versus not caring and just doing it for yourself. My prescription is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And my encouragement is actually stop thinking about that because you don't know who's going to show up.
Yeah.
So the prescription doesn't change.
I get that.
The outcome is totally out of our control.
Yeah.
Because the prescription is going to be to put every kilo on the bar that we possibly can regardless. So nothing changes. So if you're going to be disappointed because you didn't win, I'm like, you're not.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to work on people that are trying to get more out of
just be better.
The process, that self-imposed suffering, what does that give you in life?
Yeah.
Than I want to be the best at this sport.
Yeah, fair. I can't say I agree, but I can agree where you're coming from. I think there's a bit of value in leaning into someone's mentality. If they do say they want to win, then I'm like, well, you start to act. Like, you can just call them out on it. Like, I think understanding the realization of like, hey, we're going into an outcome that we can't control, but like, if you want to win, it's like, this is what it's going to take to put us in the mix.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you can call them out on the times when they don't act in alignment with like winning.
Yeah.
I've had circumstances where clients have told me like, hey, I want to win nationals. I want to win my pro card. I want to, be on the IFBB circuit. And then I'm like, so I just want to draw your attention to this. You aren't acting like a professional.
Yeah.
I'm like, your whole approach to everything doesn't reflect someone who wants to win.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you need to start here and, we do our absolute best and look and behave that way. And then it's like, the outcome's the outcome, right? So sometimes like in that circumstance, like I don't mind it.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't want that like, like crybaby, like I didn't win.
That's more the issue for me. Yeah. Like I've 100% had those conversations too. Like,
it's like, well, you can't. It's like, don't get into this sport, man.
Pulling someone up in the off season, and be like, if you could be as you want to be a national level athlete,
hold them to a standard.
You need to be behaving like this now. And
Hold
that's what I mean.
standard.
I guess like the prescription is the same.
Yeah,
because it's like, I don't care if it's your first comp or your sixth. It's like, hey, your behavior now, while you're not under the squat, bench, deadlift bars. Yeah. Your behavior now is determining what happens in the platform.
Yeah, I'm big on the expectation thing. I think the expectation thing is what separates coaches, because if you look at
so expectations you set on the client,
correct?
Yeah, not theirs.
And the expectations, that you hold them to.
Yeah,
because if you look at like, everyone just looks at those. It's like, why does this person have these results?
Yeah,
why? What's the difference, right? You go down the rabbit hole of training, all looks the same. Go down the rabbit hole of nutrition, all looks the same. Go down the rabbit hole of like supplementation, no different to anyone else. And it's like, these people are holding their clients to a standard that they've set out for the goal, and they're not afraid to go, you need to lift, you need to do this, you need to do that, because the outcome is a reflection of that. And you told me that you wanted this or whatever. That, and obviously the coaching side of it, like I said, like, getting people to understand their potential, like push them across the line. Like, those two things are what separates good coaches and great ones.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so powerlifting prep strategy versus physique sport prep strategy.
Yep.
The biggest difference, like you said, is going to be in the training.
Yeah.
Weight class sport, and we are power building by brand.
Yeah.
Which we've decided this morning. We're coining that term now.
Yeah.
Because that describes what we've done for 15 years. Be strong as fuck, get in shape.
Yeah.
And then
look mad, be strong.
Whatever pathway your bodybuilders are strong, my powerlifters are in good shape.
Yeah.
So from a prep standpoint, from a nutrition side, it's hopefully, you hope it's inverted. So you want to deficit early.
Yeah.
Get too close to weight as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And then not have to diet the last 10 to 16 weeks.
Yeah, you want to be in best physical condition for the meet to perform, right?
Yeah, and then essentially from a programming standpoint, you have increased levels of volume and movement variety that gradually decreases, and movement variety decreases and specificity increases until you get to the day. That's an oversimplification.
But it's so... how people fuck that up, I have no idea. Like, literally the day is 3 moves, bro.
Yeah.
So it's like closer to the day, they need to be doing less of everything else but that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think that the powerlifting...
I'm not taking shots. Like,
no, the powerlifting industry, its standard is more they don't embrace
anything
the
else.
movement variety and volume element.
They only embrace the 3 lifts, and then it's
volume means do squats at 8. That's okay. Like, well, if we just hack squat, you know, be okay.
Add some movement variety, have some fun.
Yeah,
build some muscle.
Yeah, keep people in the sport longer because they're not burnt out.
Yeah, that's it. Look after their joints and shit.
Yeah.
That's that new age, because we talk about like newer age bodybuilding, which is like, I mean, we kind of still come from that. Like, you still need to be strong with barbells and shit, and then it's like add machines and cables like for variety and longevity.
Yeah.
The powerlifting version of that is the same. It's like, so you still have hips, knees, and ankles, and wrists and shoulders. Have fucking 4 to 5 months of movement variety in your fucking year, so that you don't have to have a barbell fucking hammered to your body the whole time.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got what you would call off season. You're starting with what almost looks like a bodybuilding program, but the variance for me, and when you watch Jason and I present our programming models, you're essentially watching a program built off movement-centric thought versus muscle-centric thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's it. It's like, I want you to squat so the variability is like, I want you to squat in different ways.
Yes.
For different reasons at different times. And then Jace goes, I want you to load your quad.
Yeah, which
in different
means
ways
sometimes
at different times for different reasons.
Some people may have never squat, depending on the circumstances.
Correct.
You know?
But when you put the programs side by side, they kind of look similar. Like a strength hypertrophy program from my model versus like a intermediate bodybuilding program from your. It's like if someone's trying to get stronger and bigger, someone's trying to get stronger.
That's absolute crossovers.
Overlap. It looks really similar. It's just like, why have you got front foot elevated split squats when I could just do something else?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So movement centric versus muscle centric. Then moving into like the peak. So I would look at it as build potential for strength, muscle mass, coordination, stability, all of that. Build competency. 5 reps, be good at the lift. Then expression.
Yeah.
So like I obviously put this together with prompts, and it's got off-season peak comp. I would look at it as potential, competency, expression.
Yep.
They're your phases that you're working through.
Yep.
I guess to make it more interesting, because like prep is not the thing, right?
Yeah, well that's it doesn't have like the athletic pursuit, so you don't have these like strict periodization models. Yeah, the periodization's more around nutritional programming over 12 months. When are you cutting, bulking, maintaining, that kind of shit, right? Yeah, and then when you get into prep, like you can have an idea of like what the training's going to look like over that time, but you can pivot, based on the person that's in front of you. Yeah. So generally, like I'll start prep with like some form of like a condition-based block. So I'll do like a density style program where we're like, partnering up exercises, and I'm just like increasing work capacity in the session. Yeah. So it's a way of like gaining like aerobic conditioning and just like workout capacity, like to lift the weights. And most of the time, like they're coming off peak off season, so they're like big, heavy, and slow. So guess what program I'm doing in like 4 weeks time? It's like lots of supersets. On the superset train. Yeah. So I'm gonna do that density block that we have. So then moving after that, it's again like you've got to do an assessment of like the category, the athlete. It's like, are they a woman, doing bikini, whatever. You're going to have more lower body, shoulder back kind of based kind of training, because the look is obviously on stage is kind of what we want trying to accentuate. So that's where the split and all that stuff's kind of complementary to that. The thing that changes is like I'll move away from like heavy and moderate lifts as the prep goes on. And then I'll burrow them into a window of around 8 to 12 reps because I feel like anything more than 12 is probably a bit excessive in terms of just like the work you're getting for the return you're getting back.
Yep.
And I feel like 8 is kind of like a good window of like just lifting enough. And then just there'll be a slight volume reduction as the prep goes on as well. But that'll be individual too, because you're starting off with this, like you've got good volume numbers at the start of the prep and like specific to the individual, and then you're tapering as they get leaner and their recovery capacity decreases. So essentially, like that's what I'm looking at. But like I like the idea that just like programs that build muscle keep muscle, and then it's just finding lifts that person can kind of hold strength in and progress where possible, and even just maintain the periodization on the nutrition. You'll have like basically like pushes and back offs.
Yep.
So we'll do like, it's roughly I'd like to get about 60 to 70% of the weight off the person in about 50% of the time. So we'll push real hard at the start of the prep. Stress is lowest. The energy availability is at its highest. So we'll really try and dig hard. And there's like a rate of loss per week that we're after for that. I'll have a little bit of a deload in between that, where they refeed temporarily. And we'll push things in terms of like steps and cardio and stuff like that. So then by the time I've got landmarks that I need people to hit at certain periods of time. If we're not there, like I'll either push them a bit harder or pull them back. And then, like once we get into the second half of the prep, you should only have about 30% of the weight to lose. And then the goal will be like just refinements, trying to get them like within, a couple of weeks out, tapering the cardio, trying to work off the look, like, seeing if you can do a mock peak week and get some carbs in and see how they respond to like sodium, potassium, and carbohydrates and fluid and all of that. And if you can't, that's fine.
Yeah.
You just dig them to the end and put them on the show day and have at it. So like that peak week, a lot of people are like, oh, this is, it's like the make or break thing. I'm of the belief, having done enough of them, that less is more. Controllability is everything. And like you can really fuck up like 20 weeks, 2 years, whatever it took for that person to say yes to you in that week. So I think if you've got all the data, all the variables, everything, there, it's like just go with safety.
Yeah.
What's the most predictable thing to do? Always go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the more shots you have at it, the better you're going to be too. So I like the idea of like, I don't mind the idea of like kind of doing a couple of comps, because you'll get good data. Like Jackson and I did 3 comps, got better every time, nailed it at nationals. Gemma and I did 3 comps. 3 comps, got better every time, nailed it every single time. But like now the last package was still the best one. So there's just, when you've got data, it's predictable. Same with Matt like he did 3 shows last season. Nationals was by far his best look, and we just had all the data, all the predictability. So it's a game of knowing what everything's going to look like, and then upholding the results to the weekly rate of loss and the landmarks, and then making sure that you have all of the data to predict what the best decision is to make. Which is, it's planning and data collection.
Just gonna flip this timer. So I'm gonna ask 2 more questions.